Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of
UFC
your day.
Fight Night Brazil, Oliveira versus Gamrot. We'll talk the main card like always, provide free picks, leans, price talk, and more. Link.me/system capping for everything system capping. You can go right to their website as well, systemsportscapping.com. Support the system while you profit long-term in multiple sports, guys. Every sports we handicap, at the end of the season, we profit. Can't tell you how much we'll profit. Some years are better than others, but we're currently handicapping the UFC, NFL, PGA, and the NHL. Multiple sports, right? Not just a one guy, one trick pony. I handicap up to 7 different sports at all different times. Depending on the year. Again, I don't have high volume in certain sports, like NHL, lower volume, NBA, very low volume. So it's different from sport to sport, but at the end of the year, we profit no matter the size of the profit. Lots of Brazilians on this card, like we expect, right? Including some standout Charles Oliveira, of course, in the main event. Figueiredo is back. And Luque, almost you can call him a legend now. He's been in some good fights, kind of tailing off here in his career. We'll talk about that fight shortly. UFC 320 recap. What a card. Great card, right? Not always on paper the cards turn out to be good. This card definitely turned out to be card. We probably saw one of the best rounds of the year, round 3, Yuri and Roundtree. Wow. And Yuri made that round 3 very exciting because he came forward. This is how he has to fight, guys. And he knows that too. I was listening to an interview with him this week, and he's like, in round 3 is how I need to fight always. And it's true. When he sits back and tries to point fight, he probably was losing the fight up until then. Especially against Roundtree, you can't sit back and try to outstrike him. You have to come forward. You have to bring pressure. And Yuri was able to do that in round 3 and find the finish. That's how he always needs to fight. When he sits back, tries to point fight, and is hesitant, he loses fight. So a nice win there for Yuri. Started around -160. He went up to about -200 at closing time. So people were backing him in there. I had a bet on the over. Sorry, I'm a little sick this week, guys. So over 1.5 was my bet on that fight. And it came through. I leaned Yuri, but didn't pull the trigger. No surprise in the Merab fight, right? Merab by decision. That was the only way you're going to play that fight. He wins by decision. Now, he was close to getting a finish, which would have been surprising. He hurt Sandhagen with some shots. I think that was round 2. Just impressive by Merab. You just can't bet against Merab. Yeah, he's going to lose eventually. Maybe not, though. But I think he'll eventually lose. And who will be against? Not too sure. Maybe he'll move up a weight. Hard to see anyone beat him at this division. Maybe Umar, if he comes back, a little better. He was somewhat close in that fight. Merab's a legend. You continue to bet him by decision. Betting against him would be just not smart in any fight. You got to prove me wrong, right? Merab has to prove me wrong until I bet against him. We'll continue to attack him. We won a decision parlay with Merab. I can't remember the other outcome winner, but that cashed as well. Main event, definitely thought Pereira was live, and there was definitely value at that price. I did not expect it to go down how it went, of course. Ankalaev he's never been finished on the feet, so that was very surprising. I'm hearing now he was injured going into the fight. He had a bad rib injury. I don't know how bad it is. I don't want to give him that excuse. A lot of fighters go into fights, you got to be able to adapt. He got caught with a big shot. And Pereira, hats off to him, face of the UFC. This is what the UFC wanted. The Ankalaev being champion doesn't help them at all, really. Pereira, fan favorite. Definitely happy to see him get back. Tons of value there at that price going into it. He called up for John Jones after. I get it. He's older now, Pereira. He wants big fights, right? You can't really say him versus Ankalaev was a huge fight. He called out for John Jones. He wants to fight him at the White House. Sign me up. I think John Jones would take that fight over Aspinall. I don't think the Aspinall fight does much for him. And Pereira is better chance for him to win. He can try to take him down, right? Aspinall, I don't believe he can take him down. If he does, Aspinall's grappling is very good. So, yeah, I can see Jones versus Pereira for the main event at the White House. who's gonna not like that fight, right? Main event, I did have the over in rounds, which made the card not profitable. I stayed away from a side in that fight. I played the over and I didn't expect it to end that quick. I'm wondering if the injury was an issue for Ankalaev now. He kind of just got finished a little too early. Something looked up to me, in my opinion. Let's get into this card, guys. Let's get into this card. Shop around. Get the best price out there. Have multiple sports books so you can do so. Let's get into it. Oliveira minus 110 versus Gamrot minus 110. Even on the books here, I somewhat agree. I get why the price is like this. Multiple reasons. One, I think the matchup is better for Gamrot because he can take down Oliveira. Now, he's averaging 5 takedowns per 15. We know Gamrot likes to chain wrestle. Very good wrestler. Able to win fights just due to his wrestling and holding him there. Right? Charles Oliveira, 56% takedown defense, guys. We know he can be taken down. However, he's very dangerous off his back. He can catch you with a flying knee or a big shot coming in to try getting the takedowns, right? So that's why you see the price here. I think from a skill set to skill set, obviously Oliveira, better striker, better grappler. Gamrot, I give him to the wrestling. I'll give him the cardio as well. We've seen Gamrot go 5 rounds before. He actually beat Arman Tsarukyan in that 5-round fight, and due to his cardio, due to him looking good in the 4th and 5th round, and Arman gassing late. That was his best win. Keep in mind, it was 3 years ago. Obviously, still the resume advantage goes to Charles Oliveira. He's fought everybody, right? Gamrot, beating up guys like, who does he have here? Gamrot, he has the win over Fiziev and Arman. Those are good wins, but it's a while ago, 3 years ago with the Arman fight. Does have losses recently to Dan Hooker and Dariush. Now, keep in mind, Dan Hooker, not a great wrestler either. And Dan Hooker was able to get a win there. So if Charles is able to, work off his back, avoid the takedowns at will, definitely could win this fight, right? Gamrot also taking this fight on short notice. Now, it's not crazy short notice. I think it's about a month and a half in that range because this was supposed to be Fiziev. Fiziev versus Charles Oliveira. Would have been a fun, striking fight, right? Now, this could be, Gamrot just attempting takedowns throughout the fight. Could be a little boring. Now, could Charles make it exciting with, like I said, the grappling advantage and catching him with some strikes coming in? Time will tell. But I see the path for Gamrot to win the fight. Out-wrestle him, use your cardio. He's always in good shape, so there's never really a concern there. But then you also got the factor, Charles fighting at home. And, I don't always handicap the fighting at home to be a positive, but for Charles Oliveira, I believe it is, right? He works off the crowd. He's used to fighting in Brazil. Gamrot's not. So, yeah, in this type of fight, I do believe that Brazil does help him. However, the opponent's not the best for him. Like I mentioned, Gamrot can make this boring and just wrestle, and win the fight. So I'm not thrilled to be betting this fight, to be honest. I'll lean Charles, but I'm not going to be betting this for clients. Like I said, I see paths for both guys to win this fight. Not an easy fight to handicap, guys, right? And you can see Charles landing some crazy shot, hurting Gamrot and winning. Problem is, Gamrot's never been finished. So it's just not the best matchup for Charles. And you're getting the name value. That's why I'm seeing the price. When I priced it, I had Gamrot as a slight favorite, to be honest. But I understand the pricing here. The books don't really know what to do with it when it's even like this, right? Like I mentioned, the reasons for Charles to win this fight, and then Gamrot has the clear wrestling advantage, could just take him down, make it ugly, and win the fight. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm not betting this for clients. Even the total is tough because if Gamrot, I have a hard time seeing Charles winning by decision. I believe if it goes to decision, it's because Gamrot's been able to work his wrestling throughout the fight and avoid the knockout or submission. So I believe if Charles wins this fight, is most likely by finish. So even a round bet or fight to go the distance is a tough bet here. I'm just being honest with you guys, right? I don't bet every fight on the card. This is not a fight I'm in love with the bet. Again, I'll lean Charles, but definitely not excited to bet this fight. Excited to watch and see how it plays out, though. Co-main, not this pricing had me a little worried. If we really look into it, I get why Jackson favored -334 versus Figueiredo. Figueiredo plus 250. Like, when you really look into this, skill set to skill set, the speed advantage, Figueiredo maybe, towards the end of his career, coming off a finish as well, an injury. I get why Jackson favorite, but he should not be a -334 favorite, guys. Right? Figueiredo's been in there with the best, and his back-to-back losses and why he's getting dinged here in the market, they're against the world's best, Jan and Sandhagen. Jackson has not been fighting anyone even close to that level. Right? His best wins are Blackshear and Daniel Marcos, guys. It's just night and day difference. So this price is not warranted. Now, Jackson could only fight who they're putting in front of him. At times, he's going to decision, not looking the best. His volume is low. He has power on the feet to hurt Figueiredo. We've seen Figgy at times rocked and wobbled, but he's been very durable throughout his career, guys. I think Figueiredo also will have a wrestling advantage here. If he wants to make this boring at home in front of his fans, which he may not, he could wrestle. He has a wrestling advantage against Jackson. Why I think Jackson can win this fight, he has a nice reach advantage of 7 inches. So if he can keep this fight standing, Jackson should be able to win this fight at some point. But this price is not warranted, guys. Not looking at the prices, I'll lean Jackson in the big spot here. I think Figgy's towards the end of his back end of his career here. And, Jackson will have probably the size advantage here. But if Figgy can wrestle, very live to win this fight. He could out-wrestle him. He could even find a submission. We haven't seen a ton of Jackson's grappling and wrestling, right? So it's a not warranted price. Imagine laying -334 on Jackson. How could you do it? And if you look at an outcome, it's tough. So, yeah, for podcast purposes, the play is Jackson. But Figueiredo is live here at plus 250. Don't be surprised if he gets a win here. Joel Alvarez, -550. Big favorite versus Luque, plus 400. Again, I never agree with these big prices. I have Joel Alvarez, 3-1 favorite. I believe the matchup's good for him. I believe Luque is towards the back end of his career. He's chinny, and Alvarez has heavy hands. And he probably will knock out Luque in this fight, maybe even a submission as well. Even though Luque has good submission game, we've seen him submitted before. Joel Alvarez, weight cut issues at times, but he's going up to 170 for this. Remember, he's having weight cut issues at 155. I believe this is a better division for him. Tall guy, right? 6'3". I don't believe the 170 will be an issue. Now, he's been off for a little bit. I think he had an injury, if I recall. So, yeah, there's a couple of things here. Moving up weight and possible injury concern. How is he going to bounce back? But he had almost a year off. So he's coming in fresh for this fight. I expect him to win this fight. I just don't believe Luque has a ton left here, guys. Even though he did come off a win and a submission win over Garumbo, but he was fraud checked, right? Garumbo was fraud checked in that fight. I think, his last fight, Kevin Holland, he lost that fight. So Holland just beat him up pretty much on the feet and on the ground, to be honest. So Joel Alvarez wins this fight. Probably going to be... it's -50, tough to fit into my 2-fight parlays, which I hit at a very high percentage. I would have to find a lower favorite that I like, but you can improve that to a finish. I expect Alvarez most likely to get a finish in this fight. I love watching Alvarez fight. Very entertaining. Even Luque, throughout his career, fun fighter to watch. Sometimes he would like to just stand and bang until his chin kind of got compromised there. But it should be an entertaining fight as long as it lasts. Denise, -120 versus Pinto, plus 115. Close fight, I agree. Brazil versus Portugal, right? This should be a fun one. It's not soccer. However, maybe we have a new rivalry here. You never know. Not a ton of Portuguese fighters in the league. How many are there in UFC? Not many. A couple. But Pinto is one of them here. Pinto made his UFC debut in March, and he got a win over Austin Lane. Austin Lane is very low level. Both these guys actually have wins over Austin Lane. He had a second round KO in that fight, but he did get dropped in round 1, which is a little concerning. He does have 7 finishes in 10 fights, Pinto. Denis 3-1 in the UFC. Some more experience and the resume advantage. Will have a striking advantage here as well. Volume and fighting at home, right, for Denis as well. Again, I don't favor that for everyone. Some guys, it does help out. It's hard to, tell which guy. Like Charles, you can tell. Charles Oliveira, definitely it helps out. Denis, I don't know enough about him. Pito will have a speed advantage, in my opinion, on the feet from looking at tape. But I do like Denis, how he works the legs. He's not just a boxer. He works the legs as well. He does have a good all-around striking game. I'm going to lean the Brazilian here. Close fight, like I mentioned. I haven't seen enough from Pinto that gets me excited to back him here. So give me Denis at home, minus 120, decent price. Last one I'll talk about here, and it's Ramos, minus 188 versus Awfully, plus 162. Ramos as a favorite is always scary, even though I do believe he probably wins this fight, guys. I'm not in the business of backing Ramos as a favorite, 1-3 in his last 4 fights, but a very winnable fight here. And the UFC is giving him a winnable fight. Awfully, I think he's from New Zealand or Australia, 0-2 in the UFC. It just hasn't shown me a ton, right? Ramos, though, if you bet him, risky. That's why 188, hard for me to get to. But I do believe he does enough. I think it's just a winnable fight for him, right? He's fought some tough guys in the past, Ramos. His strength of schedule and resume is much greater, obviously, than Awfully here. So I do expect him to win the fight. Like I mentioned, though, I'm just not in the business on backing Ramos because he could lose this fight, right? It's not like, Ramos going to guarantee win this fight. We're going to bet him. This probably won't even get my money this week, guys, to be honest. Ramos minus 188 is the play for podcast purposes. Awfully hasn't showed me anything in the UFC. 0-2, like I mentioned. So can't back him here. Could he win? Sure. It is Ramos. But nothing on tape or in his previous fights has shown me he could win this fight against. You could say Ramos is now a veteran. That will do it, guys. That will do it. UFC is back in Brazil. Always fun. Fans are crazy over there. Should be somewhat of a time difference. I didn't look into that, but definitely check the schedule. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and their limits. Enjoy this card.